Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intuitive Minds by Shelley and myself, where we elevate consciousness globally. Today on Intuitive Minds, we are thrilled to welcome back James Gililand, and our topic today is 3-Eye Atlas and further ET disclosure. Now, Shelley, be so kind and introduce James Gililand.
Thank you, James. Welcome, James Gililand. It's lovely to have you back here again. Even though we've chatted to you about 8 months ago or so, I still feel like I would love to do a proper intro to you because you're such an exceptional individual and worthy of having these things shared. James Gililand is a best-selling author, internationally known lecturer, minister, counselor, multiple near-death experiencer, and ET contactee. James is the founder of a Aseti Ranch based in America, which is the Aseti standing for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrials, Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. James has been at Aseti Stargate Ranch for some 40 years now, and has had contact for that long in this field. He documents and shares incredible multi-dimensional contact phenomenon and can be viewed at www.aseti.org. He is a published author of some 5 books. Some of them have got some interesting titles: Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods, The Ultimate Soul Journey, The Anunnaki Returns, UFO Religion and the Origin of Man Beyond the Controlled Narrative. Just those topics give you an insight to this incredible human being's capacity to truly stand in truth. James, I regard you as one of the most bravest men on the world. I love you dearly. James, my colleague, and myself really welcome you to our platform. You are one of the people that speaks the truth in times that are really tough. You are one of the global experts in extraterrestrial content, and it is an absolute honor to have you here. You are the person who stands, regardless of what people say. You tell the truth. You do it with a beautiful heart. You do it with integrity. You do it with honor. And it is my humble joy and my absolute delight to have you on our channel tonight. And thank you, James, for making the time to be with us.
Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's getting quite interesting right now. You know, it's really everything's hitting the fan on every level, but it's a good thing. You know, it's the higher consciousness and energy flooding the planet right now. And it's just revealing everything and bringing everything up.
Absolutely. And that picture as you speak, James, right now, that scene in the movie with Keanu Reeves and the Matrix and the bullets coming, and he stands like that. That's you. You stand there and they don't touch you because you're actually standing up. And I love that. I've watched some of the posts you put out there, and talk about an invitation for cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You invite it and the people go crazy and you just come up with the next post, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So along with thank you for making the time. I also want to just extend love and protection through our prayers for you and for the wonderful stance that you're making in the world, and you're a leader in that to all of us, and we all stand with you, James. You're not alone. I know you know that, but you're not alone on the earthly plane either. There's many of us, and I'm one of them, and James, my colleague, is also another. We stand with you. You are absolutely lighting up every channel that's available in your content. I mean, I saw you with Dr. Michael Saller, with Laura Eisenhower, and I saw you with Coley. Coley's doing some great work with you on her in SNX radio. Some fantastic with Corey Good, some beautiful exposure there, and how you stood there with him, and there was a whole reveal on how both individuals, you and him, were being attacked. And when you came forward and supported him, he got to realize who you were. I mean, I was absolutely delighted to hear that. There's something for sure is happening on the planet. Something for sure is shifting all of us. And for people who are watching me here, if there are any strange noises, I have a house of cats here and they're all running around me because James comes with the bigger cats. And I think my babies are sensing that. So if there are strange noises my side, it's my babies in connection with James Gililand, and it's all good. In terms of this three-eye atlas, James,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've heard about it being identified in July 2025. Some have been saying it was well known for the last 5 years. It's suspicious that it's only come out. It could be a controlled narrative. It could be many things. In your opinion, looking at, yes, NASA coming out, never a straight answer, NASA coming out with the scientists there. It's not a rock. It's not a comet. It's not AI. It's real. And then there's the fear that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
From your perspective, can you share what you know Three-Eye Atlas to be? What have you sensed? What have you come to learn about this so that the people can take this more seriously than just a something in the sky? What is this that you would like to share?
Well, basically, from day one, we took a look at it, and we do a form of divination that you have to have a male-female balance to reach the highest levels of consciousness and energy, and that's where you can get answers. And when you're observing something like C1 Atlas, I mean 3-1 Atlas, actually, um, you've got to kind of observe it with a fresh mind or a Buddha mind. You can't go in there with any kind of preconceived ideas or projections and there's a lot of that going on. But what we saw from the day one, we saw that it was definitely a ship, and it was almost like a spiritual technology and like a spiritual nanotechnology type situation. And it could actually, we've seen that before. We've seen ships burst into 1,000 lights and then come back and reassemble themselves.
Wow.
And so it's technology beyond our imagination. And so I asked, so who are they? And they said they're the Ahians. And I said, well, who are the Ahians? And they said they were actually on the earth like 300 to 600 million years ago. And they're the ones that built the glass line tunnels that they're finding. And they've been finding these for quite a while, and they're dating them back 300 to 600 million years.
Oh my
I
word.
have a little bog in my throat because Kilauea has been going off like crazy, so there's
Oh
a
no.
lot of fog in the air.
Oh.
But anyway, they're six dimensional beings, and they're kind of aloof. When we first tried to go in there to see them, they blocked it,
Okay.
and then so we asked for permission, and we told them what our agenda was, and so they allowed us to see and see them and it was kind of like a bluish energy inside, and there's beings that were kind of phasing in and out, very tall beings, kind of a bluish color, and very ancient beings, and they're really busy. And we were told it was a information gathering ship. It was there just to collect data. And and they went and they scanned all the planets as they went through, and checked out to see where we're at in our evolutionary process. And they scanned the entire planet. And they did some things on Mars too. They actually sent some probes and they went into the surface of Mars, and they kind of did a little terraforming there or something. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but I think the whole surface of Mars is going to change here pretty quick. But they when it came in, it stopped, it started up again, it made course corrections, it sped up 300%. It flew around the sun, it took massive hits from the sun,
Yes.
and it's absorbing that energy, and there's no way a rock could do any of that. It doesn't make any sense. And it
No.
did the perfect slingshot around the sun. So,
Yes.
and I asked, are they going to interact with us directly? And they said
Yes.
no. They said they're working with the councils, and they're working with the Andromedan Council, the Palladian Council, Syrian, Rhine Council of Light. All they're working with them, and they're not going to really do a hands-on thing on Earth.
Can I ask, is there a sense that you have, James, why
Hmm.
people on the planet would be giving a narrative that is fear-based?
They yeah they
Why,
always
why do they store it? Is it just an opportunity, or is there something really frightened? What's frightening them?
well there's several reasons. One, Babaji said that man always adds fear to God's message.
Oh,
And the other thing too is there's a controlled narrative out there that wants to keep people controlled through fear,
right.
and and they want to stay in power, and so there's a lot of things happening, and just by nature most people fear the unknown, and it's unknown to them, but the way you take care of that is you make the unknown known, and
Yes.
then you don't fear it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
but trying to make the unknown known is very hard when you have. Yeah, I mean, you have so many shills and posers and
Yes.
people that
Yeah,
don't have integrity
exactly.
that really can't say I don't know. They can't say yeah I don't know, and
Yeah.
their base, their followers need an answer, and so they just
Right.
make one up or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of like a
Crazy,
it's
eh?
crazy. Yeah, because if I give some information that's contradictory, I've got
Mm,
to deal with all the followers of that person and all the insults and character assassinations. And it's really crazy. It's like
I know. Yeah,
uh but a long time ago I got rid of any need for acceptance and approval outside of myself, and
100%.
I really don't care what other people think.
Yeah,
I just care about staying true, and get the
absolutely.
clearest message as I can. And and how they deal with that is that's on them. It's like
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if people can really hear that it's something that's happening, and to step into awe, to step into curiosity, to be
yeah,
excited instead of automatically being triggered into, oh, it must be a threat. I mean, I just find it absolutely ridiculous. But I think your point is very valid here. The day that one can stop caring what people think about you is the most liberating day you give to yourself. And I think
yeah,
that's
definitely.
that's where
Yeah,
you stand.
that is the key. That's the
Yeah.
key that
Yes.
in self-mastery, you really,
Yeah.
having a couple near-death experiences and experiencing whatever you want to call it, the creator firsthand.
Sure.
uh, it doesn't have an ego. It can't judge. It's
No.
just pure consciousness and energy. It's just the most loving, joyous, blissful thing you can imagine. And
Yeah.
and then the problem is, man created God in his image, and
Right.
there's so many images out there. And then we have the little g gods, which were the Norse gods, the Egyptian gods, the Anunnaki and all the other guys, and so we have all these images, and that's where the bearded God image came from.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but it's you have to ask who created them, and where are the goddesses? They got kind of smacked out of the picture, so with this patriarchal program going. And that goes
Yes.
back to Mary, that goes all the way back to Mary, when they found the teachings of Jesus, and he said, out of all my disciples, Mary Magdalene is the
Yes.
most qualified to continue in my teachings. And so Paul stepped in and said, no, 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 we're going to make this a patriarchal thing. And he was backed by the Romans. And he'd never even spent any time with Jesus at all. If you read the real scriptures, and the Ethiopian scriptures are out of 80 books and
Yes.
tablets things like that. And then the one we use only has 66 books,
Yeah.
and the Bible that most people use. And it's just a very, they don't talk about the lost years of Jesus where he went to Tibet and India and
And
Europe, and some say even went to America, but
oh,
uh, who knows? Like Native Americans have stories about him. So,
wow.
he did travel a lot, and his family, owned major shipping companies, so it's very easy for him to do so. But that's more of an inclusive thing. That would include Tibet and India, and he went and studied with all the grandmasters there as well. But they don't want that. They want to divide and separate, and we have the one true book, and it's all about controlling the narrative. It's always been about
Yes.
controlling the narrative and controlling the people. That's the foundation of
Of our,
tyranny,
of our
basically.
world of tyranny. Yes, on so many disciplines. I mean, um, James Liddell in the medical field, in the psychology field on my side to a degree, and spiritual field, archaeological
Yeah,
wars that we've got. Oh my word! And then let alone the space wars
yeah,
and the ocean wars as well. I mean, that's also something. And the inner Earth. When you think
yeah.
about
Everything. I always
everything,
tell people there's no such thing as a holy war. There's only one king or leader wanting what another king or leader had. And then they whip the people into a frenzy, demonize the other people,
yes,
make heathens ungodly. And it's always been
yeah,
a power, money, and land grab every time, or a gold grab, whatever you want to call it. And people need to start seeing through that and
yeah,
not be so easily persuaded, to get behind, because a lot of times they're backing the wrong people. They're actually
yeah,
backing the tyrants, and
yes,
because they've been socially engineered to
yes,
judge and condemn others, and they've heard all these stories, which most aren't true.
yeah.
But and that's what we're seeing now is this massive renaissance of truth coming out,
Isn't it amazing?
and everything is being revealed,
Yes,
and consciousness and energy is flooding the planet. I mean, right now we've got a cannibal CME hitting the planet, a huge,
yes,
massive,
I believe so. I just saw
yeah,
something earlier.
coronal ejection. We're going to see the aurora borealis is going to be in like 22 states, I think. But
Wow, wow.
that is a huge influx of consciousness and energy. It's not just light.
I wanted to ask you, what is that? So it's consciousness that's not only light, but it's like, as you say, information. I know we've chatted on that before and other times, but this is consciousness,
Yeah,
intention.
the
Yes,
sun is conscious,
yes,
and the sun is connected to the great central sun. All the suns are. And
correct.
so the orders, you might call it the seat of God of this universe,
Yes,
is the great central sun.
yes,
And the
yes.
orders come from there. And people go, well, nobody could live on the sun, they'd burn up. And I said, yeah, if you're physical.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're physical, yeah. But these are 7D beings on up, And so basically, and every time the sun throws off a huge coronal mass ejection, it's a huge influx of consciousness and energy. And with that is coming universal law. It's bringing everything into the light. Everything is being revealed,
Beautiful.
and it's creating a quantum leap in evolution.
Yes, yes,
When that's and we are just getting hammered by the sun and other sources. And then
yes.
we also just got kind of hammered by C1 31 Atlas. Sent
And
all
you
these
have,
all these
yes,
energies came in. They were registered in the Schumann resonance, which is
yes,
littered now with all these little specks, which
yes,
which are the seeds, and that's creating change,
yes,
rapid change, and it's going to be a quantum leap in conscious and energy. And it was pulsing 7.83 hertz back at the planet, which is the
wow,
Schumann resonance natural state, and it's also a
yes,
healing frequency.
yes,
And so, I mean, it's undeniable that it's a very advanced craft. It's definitely communicated in several different ways through math and through other information, and the things it's doing are just if you watch it, it's shielding itself, it's absorbing the sun's energy, it's doing all kinds of it's definitely not a rock. They would now we have to be careful because a lot of this thing is turned into a psyops because they're putting all this
Yes,
information out there.
yes, yes.
And at the end, they're going to try to probably pull the plug on it and make everybody look crazy,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is what they do. So be careful because there's a
right.
lot of information that's coming in and a lot of disinformation. It's it's kind of turning into a big psyop. A lot of CGI and AI
Yes,
generated stuff
that's
is coming out, and so you got to be careful, with
yes.
it, with what you're seeing. But
James, I've heard comments about even the Hopi prophecy being thrown into this and saying that because it's emanating like a blue color now, and there's the
yeah,
blue Kachina. I don't know. I'm just saying, the great
well, I
purification.
mean, yeah, my grandmother was Cherokee, and I've spent a lot of time with the elders,
Yes.
Native American elders, and they have a lot of different prophecies. Their view is that, we sit down and listen to everybody's prophecies, and then we're going to have the whole prophecy. And
Oh, I
so
love that.
I've heard a lot of the elders have told me a lot of different prophecies from even
Yes.
the Aboriginal
Oh,
elders as well. But they all talk about the Pleiades. They point to the Pleiades. They said that's where we came from.
yes.
The Hawaiians do it. The
Oh,
Cherokee Nation do it. A lot of Native Americans, point there. Even the shamans in the Philippines, uh, they all point as the Pleiades. And the Pleiades were the ones that were terraforming the planet, and they started the colonies of Atlantis and
yes.
Lemuria. They were
Yes,
the
I
ones that
heard
started
that.
those colonies.
Right.
The Anunnaki before them were the ancient Lyrians that came, and
Mm-hmm.
then they went through pole shifts and cataclysms and great wars and
Yes.
got taken out. And then the second attempt were the Palladians who started Atlantis and Lemuria. Well, a lot of the indigenous people have stories go all the way back to that time, the terraforming and everything else. And so they all point towards the Pleiades. And we have a
Yes.
lot of Pleiadian contact.
Yeah.
And they're just beautiful beings.
Yeah.
They're so the thing about a lot of the Palladians, a lot of them just look like supermodels and they
Oh,
exude love, just pure love. And you
amazing.
meet them and you just go,
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
Yeah. Bring
yeah,
that energy back here, please, to
yeah.
our
And
planet.
most of them are women, are the contactees. Most of them are women because we don't get defensive. When we see a beautiful woman
Uh-huh.
emanate love, we're not, our
No, no,
guard
no.
doesn't go up so much. But if you
Yeah.
have a powerful male show up, you're like, whoa, what was that? Like this.
Right. Right.
But there's contacts happening globally, and there's a lot of posers out there too, on top of that. And the ones that are the posers are really supported by the controlled narrative. Unfortunately, even the UFO community, they're
Yes.
at the top, so the
Uh-huh.
shills and the ones that aren't a threat, are all at the top of these conferences and communities. It's sad, but and so the people who are authentic are a threat, and they're pushed aside and censored, and a lot of my talks that I've done at the major conferences are gone.
Yes. What?
You can't get them.
Oh no, James,
What
really?
happened with
And
it?
they took them out. They took them out. The International UFO Congress in Arizona, the last talk there, I actually turned into a light being on stage, and I had other light beings appear behind me, and that's gone. You can't get it,
Ah,
and I
they
had a
must be very
standing
serious.
ovation, the biggest run to get the CD after the um, after the talk they've ever seen, and then I was just cut out of there because it's a good old boys club. And you
Oh,
can't talk about spiritually and technologically advanced beings. It's that's taboo,
so
and so
interesting.
it's sad because that's the big picture.
That
Is
is the
that
picture. Yes,
our
yes.
ancient ancestors are returning. They're very spiritually and technologically advanced. The ones that weren't did themselves in. They're no longer with us, so And that story they don't want to get out because so imagine if these people return and they have more knowledge of God and the universe than we can imagine, including our history on Earth.
Wow.
And they have fearless energy, they have anti-counter-gravity, they have med beds, they have all this incredible technology. They're a threat. They're a threat to big pharma. They're a threat to the oil companies and energy companies.
Oh,
They're a threat to anybody enslaving humanity through dependency. And they're a threat to tyranny because they live according to universal law. And so they don't want this information to get out. And because you're going against the whole system, and it's a very corrupt system.
it's a corrupt system.
Absolutely. I've got a few questions for you,
Okay.
James. So Jesus and his family, they come from a very big shipping family.
Yeah.
But is there a possibility that he could have used UFOs to travel? Or alternative transport that was much faster than sailing continents?
Yeah. When I say that he came from a big shipping family, I'm just laying out a possibility that he could travel anywhere. And how he did travel, I don't know.
Okay.
I would imagine with his abilities, and I've done it, he could teleport wherever he wanted to. If he could walk on water, he could teleport, basically.
I
And
like
so
that answer.
he could end up wherever he wanted to be. Now, we've had ships teleport myself and others in my car, a whole car, and they have that ability too. And
Wow.
and it's been witnessed multiple times where we're driving to a place that's like a 17-hour drive and we're there in an hour and a half, and things like that. And we don't know how it happened. I remember we got a little dizzy for a second. We opened our eyes and there's the exit,
It's so
And
cool.
so the ships
Greg,
have that ability too.
Greg
So,
Braden had a similar experience in Egypt.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
my
we've
next
had
question
quite a few.
is, do you think that there's contact between the 3I Atlas and the USA government?
I'm sure there is. But I don't know. They are looking for intelligent lives, so they might
Yeah.
have missed that one.
Might have missed that.
Mm. And then another interesting question that I was pondering about. Do you think that the ETs could mine, harvest gold from planet Earth? Is there a possibility that they can harvest special minerals from Earth like gold?
Well, basically, they don't really need it because there's asteroids out there that are solid gold. They can get whatever elements they want.
Wow.
And the old program was they're trying to shield, Nibiru from the sun when it did its loop around the sun, and it's pretty much burned up. That was a failed experiment, and they moved on to other places. And they were the ancient Lyrians that from Lyra, and they had a lot of problems because they would evolve to a certain level, and then they would break up into factions, and then they'd war on each other, and then they'd take themselves out, and they'd have to start over again. And it's the same thing. It's the same program we're enduring here. We have the tyrants and we have the people that want to control and dominate. They want to surveil. They want to control everything. And then you have the other people that are aligned with universal law or the law of one that, they believe in universal peace and brother sisterly love and individual freedom and prosperity for all, helping those less fortunate. And so those two factions have always been a problem in our evolutionary process that we've been going through here. And we're hitting that same wall again, where there are groups that want to surveil and control. They want to control, every aspect of your life, your banks, your housing, your transportation, everything. And there's other groups that are saying, no, I want to be free. We need to be free.
Yes.
And we need to live according to universal law, which is pretty much embedded in the Constitution. And so we're having those two fights right now, and we're having fights like if you have the Democrat and the Republicans, there's even wars inside there too. They're
Yes.
not on the same page.
Oh, no.
And so, but when you get to the base foundation of it, it's those who want to control and dominate versus those who want to
Yes.
empower
Empower.
and be free,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
And
Forgive me.
and then you have the self-entitled, the service to self people, and then you
Yes.
have the service to others. Like we can all, there's abundance for everybody, people.
Absolutely.
And that's basically in a nutshell what's going on right now. When you break it down to the simplest component, you can see clearly what's happening.
Yes. Yes.
So, James,
Okay.
the three-eye atlas, the presence of the three-eye atlas obviously will affect those that are awakened and those that are not awakened. It will have an impact on both groups.
Yeah.
Can you comment a little bit around that, please?
Well, I know people who are sensitive and that, are spiritually evolved could feel it, and they could feel the communication, they could feel the energies that came in, and they feel something's changing. Something was poured out over the land, and it's creating subtle changes, and they're very aware of that.
Yes.
And and the people that aren't awake or aren't aware are still going to be affected by it, and they're starting to question their reality, and their whole everything around them and all the deception they've been lied to about space and everything else. And they're starting to realize, you can't really trust NASA for a straight answer, but uh, NASA's I've never seen it. We filmed the space station going by, and the space station had a massive mothership fly right in front of it, and had another ship following it. And we have it all on film. And so we called NASA. I had an engineer at my place from NASA, and he called and he said, "Hey, is there any Russian ships up there outfitting the space station, or do we have anything up there? Because the shuttles were grounded. It wasn't the shuttle." And they said, "Oh no, there's nothing. There's nothing." He goes, "Well, we just saw something go right across the bow, and there's something following it." And they go, and then all of a sudden they get really quiet. And they go, "Oh, wait, yeah, we have a special, we have a special thing that we sent up," and it was just a story, But and so we know firsthand that those guys are watching all kinds of ships flying. The skies are littered with ships right now, and they actually have this Atlas telescope they launched, and they turned it on to track any moving objects, and the whole screen is lit up with ships making turns, going back and forth everywhere up there. It's unbelievable. And I know there's at least 9 large objects coming our way, along with fleets of ships that are heading coming towards the Earth. And that's been censored. And we actually grabbed that download and we captured it and we have it. But
Yeah.
there's so much going on, and you can't look to NASA. I have photographs of NASA in the space buggy, and they have all their helmets off,
Yes.
you know. And I have video from Russia of ships going into the moon, and a crater opens and they go right inside of the moon. And the moon and the Mars are inhabited. We've had bases there for quite a long time. And then I've got photographs of the flag waving, and there's no atmosphere with the moon in the background. And there's a place called Mars in Canada,
Yes.
which is a real rugged terrain where they do all the filming. It's like, they're showing these pictures of the thing in space spinning around. You see the technician's head in the background, and he's down there trying to fix something, and you'll see a little mouse run across there, and you'll see flies on the rover,
Oh my word.
and also too, the rover is NASA blue. It's white and NASA blue. Why is it orange looking? In film, because they're using a red filter to make it look like
Oh wow.
Mars. So, if you become the observer and just again, watch things with the Buddha mind without any
Yes.
social engineering or preconceived ideas, you see right through all of this. You
Yes.
see what's really going on, on the planet.
And you can
Do
see in
you
those
do you think that Elon Musk will establish a civilization on the planet Mars? And why is he so interested in Mars?
Why, what was the last part?
Why is Elon so interested in Mars?
I don't know. I can't speak for Elon, but he could just hitch a ride with Space Force, and we already have bases there, and
yes.
and he can only do so much. He can't play with anti-gravity and counter-gravity, or he can't, he has to do everything with rockets, and he has to go along with the flow of what's accepted. And you
Yes.
can't do anything,
Yeah.
unless you stay within that controlled narrative. And I don't, I really don't know. I mean, he's making trillions of dollars doing what he's doing, but uh, it's interesting. Sometimes there's a part of me goes, if you have impeccable integrity, you don't play, you don't buck that system. But if those with impeccable integrity get taken out by the system, you know, immediately, basically if you really rock the boat. And
Yes.
and I mean, I've experienced that firsthand. I've been shot at, had my brake lines cut, and character assassinated, and stories that are just so ridiculous they're not even worth mentioning. But
Yes.
but anyway, they and that's just how they operate basically. But they're squirming right now because everything's being revealed.
Yes.
Their time's up, and we're going to the next level. And there are higher intelligences, higher forces involved, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's like, saying no one can stop what is coming. It's massive.
Yes.
But it's all exciting and it's all positive for us.
Yeah. Yeah, we're being offered a quantum leap in evolution. And the only thing we have to do is live according to universal law, which I said before is universal peace, brother, sister love, individual freedom, and prosperity for all. And that's the foundation that's flooding the planet right now through consciousness and energy. And it's going to take hold. And once we, align with that, we're going to take this quantum leap and join the rest of the universe, in peace. And that's really where we need to go. And the other group is doing everything they can. I mean, even up to a nuclear war. They would love to have a nuclear war here and just all go down in their underground bunkers and come back up, later. But that's not going to work either because, they can't hide from their karma or their
No.
consciousness. And the
And
whole planet is they're not frequency specific to the evolution of Earth right now. And so they're imploding. Their kingdoms are crashing, they're imploding. There's basic fundamental laws, like all ill-gotten gain you can't keep, and you're going to lose it, because of action reaction karma. It's like and those are all playing out right now. The you know what's the old saying, as you sow so shall you reap, things like that. It's all playing out right now. And so the karma is being amplified and accelerated, and everything is being revealed. And that's what we're in the process of doing. And these higher intelligences are involved in that.
yes. I think if I can say that the biggest message for people to hear is what you're speaking to here is that it might look chaotic, and indeed it is chaotic.
Yeah.
There's a reason that there's chaos, is that the old systems have to collapse because they are systems that are to destroy us. Let's be very
Yes.
clear. Systems that are not here for our evolution whatsoever. And so anything that's going to collapse of that nature is going to create chaos as it is collapsing.
Yeah.
And
If you measure it by if you measure it by universal law,
yes,
you
that's
go, how does controlling and dominating and surveilling. How does any of that fit into universal law? How does poisoning the air, the water, the food supply,
Yes.
all that
Yeah.
crap, how does that fit into universe? It doesn't. None of that,
No,
you know.
not.
And so everything that doesn't align with universal law is going to implode. And that's the Native American prophecies too. They talk about a beast and they say the beast is 2,000 miles wide. And they said that's how long the beast reigns. And they
Oh,
said, and the beast is all consuming. It wants to control and dominate everything. And
mm,
they said in the last days, just when you think there's no more hope, the beast consumes itself. Yeah,
oh,
because it's unsustainable. And then we
yes,
have 1,000 years of peace and we reunify with the Star Nation. So there's a lot of prophecies similar to that. The Hopi prophecy has the two paths, and
yes,
one path takes the downward spiral and collapses, and the other
yes,
takes the upward spiral.
yes,
So
yes,
those who live a spiritual life in harmony with each other, nature, they're on the upward spiral. So
yes.
every tradition has their story, and it's all coming true right now. It's all unfolding.
Amazing. I've heard of stories of that nature, of literally two paths, and many people are talking about timelines that are
Yeah.
emerging in our time now. Are we needing to make sure we're on the timeline that we are, that is positive and organic and serving source and sovereignty for all? And how do the people make sure they're on that one if there are two
Yeah.
timelines that are emerging? What do the people need to do that make sure that they are on that one as opposed to
Yeah.
the
Which
falling?
goes back to universal law.
Yes,
You
correct.
have to align yourself with universal law with impeccable integrity. And every action is going to have a reaction, and everything is being amplified and accelerated right now. So
Yes,
they say everything boils down to just being kind, being
being
kind to others,
being
being kind to nature and the
right.
planet.
There we go. And I
And
think, Three Eye Atlas. I mean, I heard from a podcast. I think it was Ismail Perez. He was saying something about similar to what you're saying here. Is the maybe you've gone into the details of the beings, how old they are. The
yeah,
on the Three Eye Atlas, he was saying it's almost like these beings are us revisiting us. And I thought that was
yeah,
quite interesting because it's coming back to see and assess, observe, but then there's a feeding back of information mechanism in that observation that goes into that principle of how far have we fallen off the
yeah.
trajectory we were meant to be on, where we were really thrown a curveball here. And I don't know. I mean, I have heard from others saying that they didn't think that the actual truth of how dark this planet has gone was really known. And that when Three Eye Atlas came in, it was a shifting of that so the truth get told.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like a mirror. It's like a mirror, and a lot of
yes,
people that remote viewing it
yes,
really saw their own projections.
there,
And and like what happens is the more enlightened you become, the higher your frequency, the more you become a mirror and you amplify, the unhealed traumas and wounds and from
yeah,
past experience in others. And
yeah,
so we're not ready to stand before one of these beings unless we've really cleaned house. And
100%.
yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of people go, why aren't they contacting me? And I go, well, do you meditate? Have you done any
Right.
process oriented therapy? Do you go out and look at the sky and say a prayer and invite them? And
Yes.
and they go, well, I've never seen one. I go, you ever go out and look for them? They go, no. I go, well, why do you think they're going to show up to you? What's the point?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
are you so special?
Yes. Exactly.
You have to rise to the occasion, basically.
Yes. And I think I love what you've said here, James, is the component of kindness, the aspect of integrity, when we talk about leadership in our world, it's not somebody leading others, it's somebody leading themselves. And it requires self mastery as one looks within ourselves,
Hmm.
cleans house, as you've said, looks at what we're doing and changes.
Yeah,
Changes for the better because you can, damn it, because you can. Not
yeah,
because you want mama and papa to come along and give you a scolding if Three Eye Atlas has been spoken like that. No,
yeah.
because if you're deserving of evolution, then show up and at least be your best friend. Show
Hmm.
up in these kinds of capacities. I think that Three Eye Atlas, for me, is just an unintuitive sense, is that it's an observer, possibly, but it is a call for change because it's certainly creating change on the planet
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
obvious, narratives coming out. And it's kind of when we hear your message about understanding or understanding about the nothing can stop what's coming. Hearing that from you and knowing the vast amounts of work you've done on yourself and with people and the work that you've done in this field, to hear that and to help people to really just take that away and work on it themselves, contemplate on who you are and how you've affected your people around you and how you look at life and how you are. And would you want to be introducing that to a visitor? And if not, great. Get to work. Become your own best friend. Start working on yourself and just do better because you can. The Creator created everything on the principle of evolution. So the fact that this is coming now, we mustn't be falling into, oh, not worthy of. Learn to heal. For me, Three Eye Atlas has brought in this kind of, it's showing up when all of us, I'm classing myself as a starseed, all of us, and people like you, James, who've been championing this for a long time, have been showing all of us as humanity, Homo sapiens on this planet, that there is a way of universal law, that it can be a way that we can have in our world. And that for not only for humans, but for all life to better
Hmm.
itself. And life can be so much better for everything when we have that holistic view. I think if there's nothing else that comes out of that is the shake up on that point. Some will say they're not ready. Okay, well, what can you do right now? Can you just act a little bit with more integrity? Can you just be a little bit more kind? And realize it's not about success and failure, it's just standing up and being better. For me, that's what Three
Shelley,
Eye Apple brings. Yes, James.
any final questions for James
Oh, I've got so
Gililand?
many questions here. Yes. So, James, I just wanted to say when you spoke about other ships coming in, I heard of something called Swan or something.
Yeah.
What, what is this like Three Eye Atlas and a whole entourage of what?
Yeah. Yeah. I know they know of, I was working real close with Peter Slattery and,
Yes, that's
and
right.
he's,
Yes.
he's been a really good friend. The, uh, we both remote viewed, 3-1 Atlas and got real similar, almost the same thing,
Amazing.
which was really interesting.
Yes.
And he said when his remote viewing, he said, I see three more right behind it. Well, they've already observed three more big ones coming in right behind it. And there's about nine very large ones. I mean, that could change day by day because these
Yes.
things can just appear when and whenever they want. And a lot of them don't really fly through space, they just
Mm.
appear,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
they jump.
Yes. Yes.
And so there are whole fleets coming here. And you know
Amazing.
that old saying, Jesus is coming, look busy. I think
Yes.
I think that applies here. We
Yes.
really need to start cleaning up our act, cleaning up our
Absolutely.
planet,
Yes.
stop with all this control programs, the
Yeah.
dominate control programs have to come to an end. And we
Yes.
have to learn to cooperate and work together,
Absolutely.
as a planet and as a people.
As a
And
people.
then when we unify as a planet and as people, then we can come and have contact with the rest of the universe. But we have to end the wars and we have to come into unity and the power
Beautiful.
struggles and all the other nonsense. And And I always tell people, what happens if one lands? What if they land in New York, you know?
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine that? They're going to get shipjacked, they're going to clean out the ship. They're probably, the women will probably get raped. Who knows, you know? It's sad, it's really
Right.
sad. And so I
And it's
don't think New York will be a landing place for them.
no.
And so we need to create environments that are very high frequency where they have a history of holding the frequency, creating sacred space, a clean environment for
Yes.
them to come and interact with us because it's very hard on them. They're very telepathic, very
Yes.
sensitive,
Yes.
and it's hard being around us.
Right.
And it's hard for us to be around them too because they amplify the lower emotions. But we have to, it all boils down to going within and
Yes.
cleaning house, basically. We got to clean house. We got to go within.
Yes.
God is within you. It's always been within you. The temple's within and the big eraser is at your core. It's your own God spark that can ignite to become the full flame. And in that process, you're gonna drop all the wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experience. Your frequencies are going to rise, and then you're going to be able to have contact.
Beautiful. Oh,
Beautiful.
goodness.
James, where can people get hold of you?
Oh, if you go to the website eseti.org and check that out, that's where all the books and videos, and then we have ESETI Stargate TV if you want to see all the workshops and the self mastery ambassador training classes and the shows and everything else. And that's really the best way to get a hold of us. And we're also selling this wonderful coffee that we're picking here in Hawaii and through the website. We just put that up on the website, and that helps us keep the lights on, and keep
Beautiful.
open.
And you have a conference coming up in February next year, James?
Yeah, we have a conference here in Hawaii coming up. I think it was February 7th. I'm not, you go to the website and check it out. But Peter and
Excellent.
myself, and there might be a couple others that are going to be doing a conference here. And it's a benefit, so to get the Hawaii, we have ESETI in Trout Lake, Washington, the
Yes.
ranch there, and then we have a small ranch in Hawaii, a coffee ranch that
Beautiful.
that we totally restored. It was overgrown. It was a jungle. The coffee was gone, and we cleaned it all up and restored it. And
Wow.
so unfortunately, it takes frog skins, to build things, and those are far and few between right now. It's been rough on everybody. I mean, all of the entertainment places, even Vegas and everything, are down. There's nothing,
Yes.
and they have to retool. And people are
Yes.
having conferences, and people aren't coming anymore, and people just aren't traveling. And so the
Yes.
past 2 years, we've taken a real hit, as far as keeping the doors open. But uh,
Yes.
we'll get through it like everybody else. And we've had to put a lot of projects on hold that mainly building projects, but we're getting back. We'll get back up and running.
Shelley, will you be so kind to thank our speaker?
Absolutely, James. I just want to say thank you so much for your time, for being with us this evening here in South Africa. Your time, it's early morning.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to real disclosure and meeting my greater family. And I bet it's going to be connected with all of us because we're all probably part of the same one family.
Yeah.
But James,
I love to, and when you were talking,
yes,
there were things I really wanted to say, but you were saying them all for me. And I was just going, yeah. I go,
oh,
yeah, this
really?
like
Oh,
we're on the same,
yes,
frequency. We're on the same wavelength, being fed from the
absolutely,
same source, so
absolutely.
I love interviews like this because I don't have to talk so much
Oh,
and
James.
you're delivering half of my message for me.
Well,
So that's
James,
great.
I wanted to say to you the other day, and I'm happy and okay to share it here. I walked into the mall the other day, and as I walked into the mall, I had two huge white lion beings
Nice.
walking beside me. I was like, whoa! And I mean, I was in my absolute element, and I couldn't contain myself. I wanted to share that message with you.
The
Because
people looking at you funny.
they kind of were, but that wasn't really the point. I was just
Yeah.
enamored with these beings.
They feel the energy. They don't know what it is, and they start looking at you really funny. And
Looked at me
I
as
live
if
a
I,
semi-reclusive life because of that.
yeah.
I always have this big grin on my face, and I'm walking around, and people think I'm stoned or something, So it's kind of funny, but
Yeah. But it's
Well,
been an absolute honor, James, to be with you. Thank you so much for your time. And we
all
look
right.
forward to
Thank you
coming
both.
over
Thank you
and
for
visiting
your
you.
time and energy too.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
thank you
so welcome.
sincerely. And please, to our audience, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, goodbye.